How much in revenue did your signing service do last year?
Last year, we brought in altogether $360,000. I can't, it's kind of unbelievable. It doesn't feel real. A couple years ago, I mean, there was times when I was just a stay-at-home mom and when I was also making maybe 19,000 for the year. So to have that kind of revenue doesn't feel real.
Chenelle Hernandez can build this business. Do you think anybody can?
Literally anybody can.
Another episode of On the Road here with signing agent Chenelle out in California. Like every single one of these is super duper inspiring. How are you doing today, Chenelle?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. I just saw Chenelle at conference. I'm like, girl, we got to share your story. So so glad to see you again. So let's start inspiring people right out of the gate. You've been a signing agent student of mine for about 3 years. You now own your own signing service where you hand out signings to other signing agents. How much in revenue did your signing service do last year?
Last year, we brought in altogether $360,000.
Say that one more time.
$360,000.
Oh my God. When you know you've built a business that does over $350,000 a year, how does that make you feel?
I can't, it's kind of unbelievable. It doesn't feel real. A couple years ago, I mean, there was times when I was just a stay-at-home mom and when I was also making maybe 19,000 for the year. So to have that kind of revenue doesn't feel real.
I am so proud of you. And now that I know your story even more, you are a rock star. I mean, how many children do you have?
5.
A mother of 5. Girl, I got one and I can barely do one. So you're a successful business owner, an amazing mother, a wife. I don't know how you do all of it. We're going to share it, but I hope everyone's inspired because a couple things. You're not one of my students who had a $10,000 month in their second month. This has been a process. We're going to share that process. This is a story of perseverance, not only personally, but through a business wise. Again, it took you a while to get to where we are today. And so I want to inspire everybody with everything, but what an incredible story. So proud of you, a signing service owner. Man, I get so juiced when I hear stories like this because sometimes I'm over here mentoring people and I'm like, oh, wow, Chenelle's doing $350,000 in revenue. Like when I hear those numbers, I get like super proud. So proud of you, man.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think you've seen a few of these episodes, so you know exactly how it starts. Let's kind of let people know why you became a signing agent. Take us back to the beginning of your story that leads you up to where we are today.
So we can start back in 2013 when I had been working and then had to stop working. I had a few kids at home at the time and started going through some health issues. And those led to surgeries, multiple surgeries where it would cause my husband to have to be the caregiver when I was not feeling well, and also the father and also the mother. And he was at work being the provider. And this really was off and on for a good 6 years at the time when I was unable to work the entire time. And I wasn't really even able to care for my kids a lot of those times, which was really difficult for me. And especially after we had 2 more babies, we had all 5. And when I was able to be present with them, I felt like I was a pretty great mom. I was taking them to the park and sports and matching pictures with matching outfits and everything. But when I couldn't care for them at all, I completely lost my identity. And when I couldn't be a mom, I didn't really know what to do. I had people helping me, sending caregivers to my home to take care of my children and change their diapers and things like that. So having the health challenges, it affected us in a lot of ways I hadn't really thought about till we started talking about this. But there were emotional tolls on me and my husband. I really don't know all of what he went through because I've never had to be the caregiver. I've never been in that position. It's always been him. So there were a lot of emotional ups and downs going through all of that. There was a lot of medications during infections. So the emotions were all over the place.
Mhm.
And, with my husband having to take care of everything, and then me going up and down with my health and with my emotions, I had a lot of bad thoughts.
Yeah.
So,
You went to conference and I told my story about my infection, and we definitely had some relatability there because I know exactly what you mean about bad thoughts. First off, about the narcotics. Right when I had my second surgery, they gave me Oxycontin, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is not me. This is weird. I need to get off this immediately. I can relate to where that is. And I can only imagine because I shared with you guys at conference, my health issue has been for the past 6 months. I could not imagine the past 6 years. And so I say that because I know the toll that that took on my wife, and we only have one child. And so your husband's an amazing man because how hard it is for my wife to do all the things around the house and only take care of one. I can only imagine what it was like taking care of five. And so I just saying that I empathize with that because on his side and your side, and so you said that brought some emotional tolls. Let's talk through that, right? I mean, if you're okay with that, about how you were feeling about yourself or what some of those tolls that, and I ask that because people see a $360,000 a year signing service owner, and I want people to see that, from any walk of life, from any background, you can build this business. And so by sharing your story, thank you. I hope it inspires other that, sometimes we see business owners like you and just think everything was perfect. All they see is the money. I only ask that to inspire somebody. So talk about like some of the emotional tools that you spoke of.
frankly, it had just been it's been a long time. And thinking back about it is difficult. But my emotions were very volatile. And my kids had to hear things I wish they didn't hear. And I talked negatively about myself quite often.
Mm.
Um, about my abilities as a mother, as a wife, as a person. Um, and I know that had a toll on my marriage. So it was difficult to think about that. But, I kept trying to be better. I kept trying to be better. And that was the thing that, because I had the kids, I had to keep trying to be better. But it was very, very difficult. We had the infection and the narcotics. We also had a diagnosis of a brain tumor during my 5th pregnancy. So I went into a very deep depression following the discovery of that, and the subsequent diagnosis, which took about a year, was totally draining,
Yeah.
completely draining. There's not really another way to put it. Chaotic was a good word because we had all the small children and we still tried to keep it normal for them, but I can't imagine it was anything like normal for them, resilient as they are. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say is like, wow. You're going through this and then you have a diagnosis of a brain tumor, just had a baby. I'm like trying to picture it, like it's crazy. And so, what's cool about your story is, you said you talked negatively about yourself and you were in a dark place, you said, and your whole life was upended, right? But girl, you made $360,000 in revenue last year, like insane. And so why I say that is you're such an inspiration because you could have easily given up, right? I mean, no one have faulted you. You got a diagnosis of a brain tumor, like that would have made anybody go crazy, but you didn't, and you stayed the course. And now today, like you're a full blown signing service owner, helping other people with their putting food on their family's plate, right? How rewarding is that? So you go from like people helping you, you're gonna make me cry, from people helping you, and now you're giving back, and so
Yeah,
it's just a
it was
beautiful,
a lot.
beautiful.
We got a lot of help from a lot of people, and it was wonderful, and I'm so grateful. But I was really tired of needing all that help from everybody all the time.
Mhm.
But that was part of what um, added to some of the toll on me. But
Mhm.
I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that we had it. My church family that I had back in Georgia was incredible. And I would not be here without their support. That the times when I was self-deprecating, often out loud, the church family was the people that could kind of love me when I couldn't do it myself.
Mhm.
And I had other people around that could do that for me. And that kind of kept me going through all the health challenges. And I think my husband had to do that for me too. So that was, that was a big deal.
Um, I mean, they had to love me when I couldn't love myself. I don't even know how to respond to that outside of like, I'm just so proud of you, man. Like, I mean, I see some of you students on the outside and I see, a signing service owner is doing $360,000 in a year. And I don't know the journey. And that's why I tell every single one of you, we all have a journey, right? And I share my journey, but I know my journey is not any worse or better than somebody else's. And yours is like so inspiring. And, the fact, the way your life has come full circle is so awesome, right? Where you felt less than because everyone's helping you, but now you are literally helping families across America by giving them signing opportunities because of your effort of reaching out to title companies. Like your whole life has come full circle, and that's a beautiful thing, right?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Speaking of full circle, and you keep talking about how amazing your husband is, and he sounds like an amazing man. What does your husband do now? I think it's a really cool part of your story.
He is retired from construction. He retired in 2020 when we moved our family across the United States in the middle of a pandemic. And now we run the signing service together, but he doesn't have to work 18-hour days, swing a hammer, get clock in and clock out, and be treated like less than his value. I mean, no one deserves the retirement more than him.
And how does that feel that like, he's taking care of you during your times, and now you're like, babe, got to swing that hammer and save your back. I mean, that's a beautiful thing that you're able to give back to him the way he gave back to you. How does that make you feel when you think about that?
It makes me feel really good. I want to keep doing more to give back to him and to keep moving our family forward, because that was what we just couldn't do when I was having all those health challenges. We couldn't catch a break. We were paycheck to paycheck and living in houses that were really not habitable. There was septic tank backups and mold infestations and things that we didn't have any options. And he was still working so hard, and we still didn't have any options.
Yeah.
So that was a struggle.
Chenelle, your story is beautiful, like absolutely beautiful. I mean, in my opinion, part of what makes you a resilient business owner is because of the resilience you had to have, and so, it's kind of cliche to say everything happens for a reason, but to manage a $360,000 a year business takes a lot of courage, a lot of persistence, a lot of resilience, a lot of understanding, hearing no's. And I think a lot of what I've heard today is really prepared you for being a businesswoman. And so sometimes we got to go through that to get
Right.
where you're supposed to be. And now you have a business that is doing hundreds and thousands of dollars while helping other people. Probably cliche, but dude, I think everything led to this moment. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
What I heard is someone who didn't give up, like literally, right? And so you see your family going through this, you're going through it, and so finally it's like, I got to figure something out, and that's when you became a signing agent.
Yeah, almost. I was really just tired of all of what we just talked about. It was, time to pick up and do something else. So I tried to get back to work, and the first thing I could really go do was serve in a restaurant.
Mhm.
And in Georgia, they pay you $2 an hour. So I was making $2 an hour, being not treated all that well at times, and feeling like just taken advantage of and things like that. In restaurants, there's a lot of degrading talk from other people, where before it was me doing it to myself. In the restaurant, it was other people doing it. So, and it wasn't enough money. So I went back to construction, which is where I had originally met my husband. So I went to try to do that. So I was working construction and the restaurants. And there was a time when I was doing my day job and 2 restaurants and put my kids back in daycare. So I spent all that time with the health issues, not being able to care for them, trying to go back to work to move our family forward, and had to never see them because they were in daycare 12 hours a day and school and everything. And it just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. I was getting treated poorly. I didn't see my family. We didn't have enough money. And so I looked into loan signings. I had heard about it, on a podcast, and thought that this, is this real? Okay, it's real. All right. Then, I got my commission.
You know, I think your stories, again, I'm going to say it till my face, it's such a story of just grit, perseverance, and getting back up on your feet and been doing what mothers do for their families. I got to go work for $2 an hour. It's what I'm going to do. If I got to work two jobs, that's what I'm going to do. And I just admire it. Now that you're a mom of five and you're working, still building a full-time business. And I know you're trying to scale this business. And so it's just what moms do. You women are super people, in my opinion, and so, congratulations on the success. It's just so, I'm so much more proud now that I know what you've been through. It's where you are today. Cause like, I mean, $360,000 a year in revenue is insane. And so to see that you've done it with the background that you have is super, super inspiring. And, let me just kind of ask one last question before we go into your income journey, because you didn't start at $360,000 a year.
Right.
But before I move to that, do you still talk negatively to yourself?
Not really very often. I definitely feel a lot more capable and confident and in control of my destiny. And I've given my family options that we didn't have. And that's the most fulfilling thing, because I feel like there will be a chance at long-term stability where I didn't know if there was a chance at that before.
All because you became a loan signing agent. How incredible is that?
Yeah, because I took a chance on myself.
Oh, that was beautiful. Took a chance on
Right.
myself. And what I think's inspiring is, again, I think if someone's heard your story, you had every reason not to take a chance on yourself. Like no one would have blamed you, and you did. And so, if there's someone out there watching this right now who is where you used to be, right? Who feels like it's just not going to end, right? What would you say to them to help them keep pushing forward?
Move toward the light.
Mm,
Move toward the light. You are light and you just forgot.
that was beautiful. That was really beautiful. What a conversation, girl. You got me.
It's all because of you. It's all because of you.
Oh
You're like
man.
Barbara Walters.
Oh, you got me crying over here. I mean, that line of like you forgot, and I think that was powerful because we all have light in us. We all are beautiful. We're all amazing, and it's strong souls like you who share their story, who hopefully can inspire someone to see that light again. So thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing that with everybody. Because girl, you're a successful signing agent. You had every reason to throw in the towel. You didn't. And look at you now. Let's go. So, like I said, let's talk about your income journey, because I think your income journey is as inspiring as what we just heard. Right. And so, share with everybody your first 6 months through the business. You've been a student of mine for roughly 3 years. How much money did you make more or less in your first 6 months of being a signing agent?
Yeah, I was in Georgia in an attorney state, and I made it was between $6,000 and $7,000 altogether
Okay.
from January to July.
So 7 months. So what I heard in that sentence is you made about $1,000 a month. My guess is you're probably starting a little bit lower your first couple months, and you made up that average toward the end.
Right.
But overall, what I heard is a signing agent who made $6,000-7,000 in 7 months, about $1,000 a month. We have students, make that now and think they're failing. I mean, as you know, I'm a mentor to a lot of students, so I get emails like, Mark, I've been an LSS student for 6 months and I've only made $6,000. I'll literally get emails like that, by the way. That is not an exaggeration. And they'll be like, I only made $6,000. And in my opinion, I'm like, that is amazing. You own your own business. You've never been a signing agent before and you made $6,000. Like, but my point is I want you to help someone through that. How come you didn't see that as a failure, right? How come you looked up 6 months later and were like, I'm doing something right? Because the crazy part is you would never have gotten to $360,000 a year in revenue if you would have gave up, if you would have been like, that was terrible. So I'm trying to get into the mindset of such a big earner on how come you didn't throw in the towel after 6 months when you only made $6,000.
No, for me, I didn't see it that way. I just saw that it was working. There was this thing that I tried and I was doing it and then it worked. So, that was what I saw. My health struggles didn't necessarily end, and nor will they, and that's okay. I did have another surgery in May of 2020 after I started becoming a loan signing agent. But because I was a loan signing agent, there were checks coming in when I was in bed recovering, and I saw that it was working. And so to me, it wasn't a failure at all. It was definitely a success. And seeing that the system could work gave me more motivation to keep going, even if things got hard. Even though I was going to move to California and have to take a class, which we didn't have to take in Georgia, and I had to do all these things, but I saw that it was working for me and I saw that it was working for other people. And so I had faith in that.
No, I love and thank you for saying that because I think that's the mindset of a six-figure signing agent and or signing service owner is instead of seeing it as a failure, you saw the positive, like it's working. If I just stay with it, if I stay consistent, I can turn this into something. Versus, I think the students who email me and say, Mark, I only made $6,000 are comparing themselves to you, right? They're comparing themselves to the other students who are making all this money instead of just staying focused on them. So my question to you on that is, how were you able to stay focused on your journey? Because look, you became one of my students during the pandemic. A lot of people were making a lot of money during the pandemic. You weren't in the beginning. So my question is, how were you able to stay focused on your journey and not get discouraged by other wins that you were seeing? Answer that for me.
I didn't compare it like, oh, they're making 10,000 and I'm only making a couple $100. Like I just didn't see it that way.
Mhm.
And I wasn't looking at how far along they were in their journey versus how far along I was in my journey. I wasn't comparing those things. So if someone was making 10,000, I didn't even think about, oh, maybe they've been doing it longer. I just thought, oh, look, it's possible. It can be done. That was all I saw, and that was what made me, maybe it was a delusion, but I believed that I could go do it. I believed I could go and be a 5-figure a month earner. I'm going to make 10,000 a month. I'm like, well, they can do it. I can do it. It can be done. So,
I love these interviews so much because that is the mindset of a six-figure earner. It's, because someone else is succeeding, it doesn't mean you're failing. And you
right.
literally embodied that, right? You saw if someone else can do it, you knew it could be accomplished. Meaning, if they could do it, I can do it. I just got to keep doing what I'm doing and I will get there. Wow. I love what you said. And the way you said it was so eloquent and just such an insight into the way a successful business owner thinks. So thank you because you couldn't have said it any better. Like I tell you students every day, that comparison is the thief of joy. Instead of comparing yourself, be inspired by it. That's what you were, right? You said I wasn't comparing it. What you were really saying is you were inspired by it. And so I hope people can hear the difference in the sentiment because I think someone who's frustrated that only made $6,000 in the first 6 months is in the comparison game. They're not in the let me focus on my own journey every step of the way and I can get there if they can get there. So, I mean, wow, what a great, great conversation with you, man. If there was a signing agent right now who was watching this interview, who's just super inspired that you're, a successful businesswoman in our industry, and they feel like they're not succeeding, 3 months in, 4 months in, what would you say to them to keep encourage them to keep going?
It's a process. If you have the aggregate of marginal gains in any endeavor, you are going to succeed. So it doesn't matter if you make 10,000 in your first month. If you made $100 more than you did the month before, then that's great. Or even if you just feel more confident than you did the month before, it doesn't even matter if you made, let's say my numbers went up and down, up and down. I didn't go straight up, and that's okay. I mean, I did well, but it was because of the process before. I saw the system, I started implementing it, and that's just trust it. You trust yourself, trust your training. If you have bet on yourself enough and invested in any kind of course or anything and taken the time to try to learn your craft, trust it. Just trust that and then move forward in confidence. And I know it feels weird at first. You feel cumbersome and clumsy, but it will come if you just keep repeating it over and over.
If there was a mic, I would have you drop it because that was so fire. There's like so many good things I wanted to bring out. I'm like, I forgot what she said. It was so good. Oh, she's saying it again. What I love is trust your process, but what I loved is move forward in confidence. I think I remembered that correctly. That was such a good quote by you. Is I think people don't trust the process, so therefore they're not moving forward in confidence, and that's almost what's hurting them, right? And so when you see results, it's okay, it's working, so keep doing what you're doing, and if you're patient enough, it will come to where it's supposed to be. Chenelle, this is such a great conversation, man. Thank you so much. And so, what I think another part of your story is inspiring is you became a signing agent in Georgia, made some money, and then you decided to move your family back west. And so then you had to get up and start in a new market, cold market. You didn't know anybody, any contacts, my point is, and you had to start again from scratch. And then you had to build another business. And
Right.
that is just resilience, man. You know what I mean? It's moving forward in confidence. Like, I love that quote. It's trusting the process. Like you said, if it worked out there, it's going to work here. And it's just utter belief that you're doing the right thing. And if you do the right things that bring you results enough, you can scale to $360,000. I mean, wow, unbelievable. So good, girl. I want to ask you a quick question before we move to the next topic. Is Chenelle Hernandez can build this business? Do you think anybody can?
Literally anybody can. Literally anybody. We all have a whole journey. There was a journey before this journey too. And you can go to the darkest place and still come back. You can still come back. So definitely just be inspired and just try to look back at, all the hardest things you've been through up until this point, you made it through them all. You got here. So if another hard thing comes, get through it. You will, and that doesn't knock the bad feelings that you go through, invalidate them. I remember the dark feelings, but I don't live there anymore. I don't live there anymore, and you don't have to either. You can pick up and you can keep going. And it sounds kind of cliche to just say anybody can do it. But think about it, I've had now 21 total years of surgeries and the brain tumor diagnosis and the 5 kids, the ups and downs in the marriage and in my self-belief. There's really, I can't think of other, darker things that you can go through. And there is a way out. There's a way out. You just have to trust yourself.
I love it. You just got to trust yourself. Confidence in moving forward. You have what I love about these interviews is I really get a look inside the mindset of someone who's successful. And again, I think people think it comes so easy for some of you big earners. And it's really a day in, day out self-belief, a day in, day out moving forward, a day in, day out trusting the process. I'll say it again. I think so many of us discredit some of the bad times. But if you're able to tap into them, building a business becomes easier. Because in my opinion, getting a no from a title officer is not that big of a deal compared to some of the things you've been through. You know what I mean? It's like, you just said no.
But it feels like it is. It feels like it's a big deal.
And so I think that if you allow some of those darker times to help you build resilience, I think, and you can tap into that resilience, then you realize you're made to build a business. What I tell people is the people who don't have tough times are actually the worst business owners because they crumble at the first sign of something going wrong. Does that make sense? But the people who go through tough times, which I've had my version of tough times, it sets you up for being a good business owner. And I want people to see that. That's why I share these stories, is you are who you are because of who you're not, in spite of who you are and what's happened to you. And so, Chenelle, girl, thank you again for sharing and vulnerable. And this is a beautiful, beautiful story of someone who's went through something and forgot that they were the light and who remembered they are. And that has to be my biggest takeaway from this conversation. I think some people forget that they are the light and the light's in them and the light shines bright. And you just got to turn that switch on sometimes. And so I'm crying again. I think that that line was so powerful. So thank you for sharing.
You know what it's like because you've been there.
Yeah. And you're totally right. But that light, you're right. I think too many people forget how awesome they are and how amazing they are and that they're here for a reason. They're meant for greatness. And two people forget that they're not, everyone's destined for greatness. You got to remember that, and the ones who make it do, like you knew you're destined for greatness. I knew I was destined for greatness. And so I didn't let my dark times like make me forget that. And that was such a beautiful line, man. Beautiful line. Sorry, this has been like way more awesome than I thought, you know. So great conversation.
Okay.
So let's get into some signing agent tactics. Okay. People are like, okay, Mark, I get it. She's a rock star. Let her help me through kind of my signing agent journey. So, you know, my question to you, you mentioned a little bit earlier, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into it. What is one piece of advice your best friend in the whole freaking world's like, Chenelle, girl, tell me one piece of advice to help me grow my signing agent business? What would your one piece of advice be?
Connect with other signing agents, other entrepreneurs,
Go
other
deeper.
people that are trying to do what you're doing.
Go deeper than
Yeah.
that. Why is that beneficial? Keep going.
Because they know what you're going through. They understand, especially, you know, whether they've been there longer than you or if they're in the same level as you. It really doesn't matter because they're going through what you're going through. And when you try to talk to other people in your life, it might not be the same. You won't get the same advice. But then, you know, you can get into the nitty gritty that you didn't get to ask on the online course that you might have taken or that kind of thing. You get more hands-on advice and being able to feel like you have a dumb question, but you have someone to call. Or if you're at the table and you have a question, but you got someone to call, you know, it can feel like a security blanket, just knowing that you have people that are supporting you and going through what you're going through. That allows you to move in confidence, even if you don't call them that day, you know you can, you know, that kind of thing.
Move in confidence. I might make a t-shirt next year for conference that says that.
Oh, please do.
So what I heard is building a business can be lonely. Being an entrepreneur can be lonely. So why go at it by yourself? I think it's the best piece of advice because I think there's a lot of people who go about this business or any business on their own path. No one else is on this path. And then they throw up their arms like, well, I'm discouraged. I don't have any questions or answers, excuse me, with all these questions that I have. And it's solely because they've chosen not to reach out. They've chosen not to connect. They've chosen, and I love this piece of advice. I think you're my 52nd interview and no one's ever given this advice. And I think it's really sound is if you choose to see other people as colleagues, not as competitors, and you choose to be able to reach out and say, hey, have you done this before? Have you gone through this before? Or sometimes like, dude, I just had a bad freaking day.
Yes.
And like you said earlier, not everyone can relate to that.
Yeah.
And so if you can just find a support group, it makes the process easier. It doesn't necessarily, and I actually think it makes you scale quicker because like you said earlier in 30 seconds ago about people who are above you, people who are behind you, just connect with as many people, you know, which is essentially called a mastermind. And again, this is looking into a six-figure signing agent. This is a businesswoman here. Again, people see you, you know, they see these signing service owners and they go, oh, they just had it so easy. They got lucky. No, you've chosen to have a mastermind group. You've chosen to be not alone on this journey. You've chosen to trust the process. You've had dark times. You've moved through them. No business is ever handed to somebody. And that's why I love talking about these stories. So man, oh man, what a great conversation today. Let's go. You know, I'll be honest with you, Chenelle, I want you to be excited about the statement. You know, at the time of recording, you were probably the most successful signing agent of mine that I have interviewed at the time of the recording. So this is incredible to really get into the mindset, because sometimes I get into the mindset of them while they're a little bit earlier on in their journey, if that makes sense. I'm getting to you as you're later on. Now you're in like the super scale mode. And so it's really cool to hear the thought process of how you work and what makes you click. This has been such just a rad conversation. Okay, cool. Let's go with the last question. I know it's the middle of a Thursday. You're taking time out of your day. I see you looking down at your phone. I'm like, oh my gosh, she is working right now. So again, thank you. And we'll wrap up with this question. This interview has been so bananas. I know you've inspired people, so thank you. But now I want to help an earlier signing agent, specifically with this comment. You know, I ask every successful signing agent, which you are, is there something you wish you knew in the beginning of your journey that you now know today, 3 years later, and $360,000 a year in revenue later? Is there something you wish you would have known now? Share that.
Yeah, when I wanted business from people, coming out to California, learning about escrow and lenders and all these things, I always thought they were on a different level than me. You know, I would see them in the office or on social media and just put them up on a pedestal. And I would psych myself out thinking that I just wasn't on that level.
Mm.
And it took a while and many clients and many meetings. And even after I'd had built a pretty good, 5 figures a month for many, many months, I still felt that way about people before I realized, that they are all just like me and they all have a lot of flaws and some of them different flaws that I have, you know? So it took me a lot of doing that at first. And I wasn't doing the self-deprecating thing necessarily, but it almost
Yeah.
touched on that because it was me thinking I wasn't good enough to call that person or good enough to walk into that office. And it created a lot of anxiety. And I still get nervous going into new title companies, that going into new events. And it's still a thing, but it's not the same as it was. I do walk in with a lot more confidence now.
Yeah. Well, first off, I think that piece of advice is awesome because I think that we make the narrative bigger in our head than it really is. But like you said, they get arguments with spouses just like us. They have a bad day just like us. They're running late to work just like we run late to an appointment. Like when we realize they're just humans, it makes marketing that much easier. So I love how, your advice to a new signing agent is essentially don't overthink it, right? Like they're just like you, they're just like me. So go in there, I'll give them your value proposition and go get that signing. I love it. I kind of end with something because you made a good point, and I want to show that a six-figure signing service, a multiple six-figure signing service owner has the same nerves and anxiety as a beginning one did. And so, do you remember the first time you marketed direct? Like first time you walked into an escrow office?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
walk us through that so people don't feel
I
like they're alone. So walk me through the very first time.
I didn't even have my commission in California.
Okay.
I had my commission in Georgia and then I came out here, I took my class, I took my test, and I didn't have any business cards or anything. I went to Starbucks and I think I got like a big thing of coffee. Like you can buy these like big blocks of coffee that comes with creamers and cups and everything. I had no idea what I was doing. I just got an address of a title office and I went in there and it is like during COVID, the doors were open. So this lady walks by and she's like, who are you? I'm like, hey, I'm a notary. Like, here's some coffee. And she's like, oh, okay, well, when do you get your commission? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. Hi. She's like, okay, well, come back when you're commissioned.
That is so funny and such a
I
good
didn't know what I was
story.
doing. Yeah, I just knew I
So
was supposed to go marketing, so I did.
again, I love that story because it's like six-figure signing agents just do. Like you just do, right? It's just like, look, if I'm supposed to go to escrow companies, I'm going to go escrow companies with or without a commission, man. If I'm supposed to
I didn't
create
know what I was doing.
relationships, I'm going to do it. And again, it's like such a good conversation today because it's, you didn't get here in an accident. You were freaking marketing without a notary commission. Like there was nothing was going to get in your way
That's
of
right.
building this business. I don't think it's silly. I think it's courageous. I think it's resilient. I think it's like beautiful because nothing was going to stop you, including not having a notary commission. Yeah, you know what I mean? But the bigger point of that is like literally, I hope people are just super inspired by you because nothing was not going to allow you to build this business. And it shows like I got to create relationships. I'm gonna do that from day one. Like because I get a lot of people like, well, shall I market escrow companies without business cards, let alone without a notary commission? And so, but what that shows me is somebody who would understood I got to create relationships, and I'm not going to create them next month, next year. I'm going to do it now, and that's the insight that I was looking for. I didn't know how that conversation was going to go, but that's when I think about it, I'm like, wow, that's why you are where you are today. You're marketing without a notary commission. Like that is tenacity. That's the definition of tenacity, right? That is the definition of somebody who's not going to take no for an answer. And you're like, okay, I'll see you next week or year, but I'm starting that relationship today, and that is beautiful. So, wow, I'm telling you right now, every single one of you students who share are inspiring. This was just up there with any of them. Thank you. Is there any final words that you want to share with someone watching right now? Just inspire them. You tell them to go out and get it, go for the dreams. Just anything you want. Be Tony Robbins. Go.
I want everyone to just know that, when you feel like you can't catch a break, maybe you can't, right? Life isn't going to break. It's not. So don't let it keep you down. You don't have to stay in the dark places. You absolutely can build whatever you see other people building. If they're building it, that means it's possible. So don't let anyone else deter you from doing something because they're different than you or they've been through worse or less than you. I mean, you don't know. You have no idea. So please try not to compare yourself to others. You absolutely can keep going no matter what. It's the most cliche thing, but it's true. I mean, anything you can think of, I've been through so many different types of things. I can say it. No matter what, you can keep going. It is possible.
I love it. Thank you so much for today's interview. I'm so proud of you. Before I exit, everyone's going to ask, what's the name of your signing service? Would you want to drop that right here?
Absolutely. Successful signings. Please go and sign up if you're an LSS student. I definitely look for LSS students, and it was amazing to meet some of my notaries for the first time at conference. It was overwhelming because they work so hard, and I'm so proud to be able to work together with these awesome people.
I'm so proud of you that your story has come full circle, right? From the one who needed help to the one who's giving out signings, giving money, allowing people to put food on their family's table. So it's such a beautiful, just kind of a full circle moment, in my opinion. So like you said, you are the light, girl. Don't ever forget it. I appreciate everything you said today, and don't stop building. Let's go.
Thank you, Mark.
Bye.
Bye.